We love living up at the lake, but one thing about lake living is you got to get your water from a well. And that works great for everything, but one thing I really don't like about it is the taste, which really is not very good. So we got a water filtration system. It's the iSpring 6-stage water system. Does a really nice job of filtering out the water, improves the taste dramatically. Does take a little bit of maintenance. You got to get in there about 6 months and change out some filters. Hey, I'm UpNorthGuy. I'm going to show you what I do to maintain the system. Here's what we'll be installing. So it's 6 stages. I'm showing you 4 of the stages right here. This would be the back wall of my sink here going forward to the front. The doors would be out here. The stage 1 is the sediment filter, this FP15. The stage 2 is the FG15 or the GAC carbon filter. The stage 3 is the FC15 or the CTO carbon filters. These all sit in tubes that we'll have to take off to get access to where those filters are. And then on top is the stage 6, which is the alkaline filter, FA15. All 4 of these 6 you have to replace every 6 months. There's 2 other ones. A stage 4 you do about every 2 years, and then a stage 5 that you do every year. So I'm just going to show you the basics that are done every 6 months. The tools are pretty simple. They give you this when you buy the system. It's just a wrench here that's going to go up underneath the canisters that hold these filters in for the 3 we'll do at the bottom here. I also use a pair of needle nose pliers. It helps to get a grip on some of the little clips that go between the tubes of the different sections. iSpring does a nice video where they show you how these different components work, but it's all up on a tabletop, very easy to see. There's no water. That's just not the reality of what the system looks like once it's in your house. This is what it's going to look like when it's in your house. Well, let me clear some of this out of the way. All right, so that's what it looks like once you clear it all out. I don't know about you, but I take every piece of space I've got underneath the sink to put anything that is related to the sink. So here's the system over here. You can see from the back, that's the stage 1 all the way back there. Stage 2 is in the middle. Stage 3 is here. And then on top, this one is stage 4. I'm not going to replace that today. This is stage 5, and then the stage 6, that alkaline filter, is up there next to it. So the first thing you want to do is shut off the water supply itself. Now this one, main water supply is going to come through into this red hose. I'm just going to turn this up. That's going to shut off the water to the system. The other thing is, this is the tank that stores the water here, so I'm going to turn this off as well. So that's all shut off. And then go up to the top here where your faucet handle is and just run that thing out. Before you start working under the sink, just make sure you put down a towel here, because the system's going to have water in it. As soon as you open this, there's always going to be something that's going to be leaking down. You don't want that to be hitting right onto your wood bottom of your cabinet here. So I stick a towel underneath there. Now I'm going to do this sort of in reverse order, because the easiest one to get out is number 3. Then I'm going to go back to 2. Then I'm going to go back to 1. Now this is where you use your little wrench here. This guy came from iSpring. I'm just going to slide this thing up on here. Now you think about it, to tighten this thing, you'd be turning it to your right if you were looking up underneath this. So I'd be turning it this way. So to remove it, I'm going to turn it back the other way. So I'm going to pull this thing actually back towards me, and then it will come out of there. Turn, there it goes. Now that is off. You'll see it start to come out of there. There's water at the top. There's going to be water all inside this. As soon as I get it out, you can see that is why you have a towel at the bottom there. So I'm going to take this up, and I'm just going to dump this out, and there is the number 3 filter. So just to see and to show that this is actually doing its job, that's the number 3 after 6 months. This is the number 3 before I put it in. So that's quite a difference. It's inside the canister here. You can see it's got a bit of film there. I wouldn't use any soap in there, but I do take a towel and just try to wipe that out while it's open like this. So I wiped out the sediment as best I can. This filter, doesn't matter which way it goes. Either side is fine. Just going to drop that in there and then set it to the side. And we'll go down and remove number 2. All right, here's the second stage filter. This canister is going to come out just exactly the same way as I did the last one. Just like that. Again, you're going to see some water come out of here. Right at the top. So I got my towel, and that is good as I splashed again. This one's got a lot of water in it. Let's get this up the same way. And pour that one out. Again, you can see it's being used. The top on this one has got that white ring on it. The bottom has sort of got a little slotted filter there for that one. So that's stage 2, up and out of the system. Side-by-side comparison, the old one and the new one. Again, top and bottom for this is the only one of these first 3 that has a top and bottom to it. I wiped out the canister as best I could, so I'll take the plastic off of this and just drop it in there. It just kind of sets down there, so that is stage 2. Now we're going to go get stage 1. Stage 1 is the first filter that comes in here. This thing really gets the bulk of the dirt out, and you'll see the difference once I pull this thing out after it's been in here for 6 months versus a brand new one. So it's a clear canister, but it works the same way as the others. This one is a little bit harder to get at because of just where it is. It's way at the back here, but it's going to come off the same way. It's going to have water in it just like the other 2. Make sure my towel is under there because I'm going to have a splash here. It just unscrews. Oh, there it goes. This guy is coming out. Let's go grab this one. And there's that guy out. This is going to be the most dramatic difference between the old and the new. So that is all the sediment and materials that this system is filtering out. That's quite a lot for a 6-month period. And then here's the new filter. So that thing is just going to drop straight in there, and you just kind of center it up. So now we're going to put them back in the reverse order what we took them out. So now we'll go back to number 1 here. I'm going to set this down, this thing back up. It's going to screw back up in there. This is the hardest one just to see. And it goes. Okay, I'm just going to tighten that up all the way to the top, hand tight. Like that. That's as tight as I can get it with my hand. I'm going to come back in here with this canister wrench here and just give it about a quarter turn to tighten that up firmly there. Okay, so number 1 is in. I'm going to do the same thing with number 2, 3. Here's number 2. Again, this white ring is going to be at the top. So I'm just going to start that with my hands at the bottom. That is going up in there. Hand tight. Got my wrench. Finish that off. And then we'll grab number 3. And this one, it's a little bit easier because you got more space to work with. That one is going to screw right up in there. And we finish off with about a quarter turn. So that's it for the 3 stages. These are actually pretty simple to do. Pull them out, change the filters, wipe out the inside, put them back in, tighten them up. The one on top we're going to do is this one, which is number 6. It's a little bit trickier because you got the tubes to work with here. Stage 6, this is the alkaline filter, the FA15, and I took the wrapper off here. You can see it's got these ends that are both the same. This is what they have a little quick connect. The tube is going to go in here. The key thing here is just to make sure you push it in all the way. That's what's going to hold it in there. You can sort of push it in a little bit. If it doesn't go all the way in and seat in there, then it is going to leak around the end. So it's a little bit trickier to get this one in. And the other thing about it is it's sort of in a spot that's not easy to work with because it's connected to the stage 5 here. It's also the last thing that goes out in this blue tube here. So this is the last filter, number 6, before it goes out to the system. So you got to remove this connection here and then remove the connection in the back, and then you put the new one in. Usually what I do is I try to pull this stage 5 out because it's very hard to work with otherwise. This gives you a little bit better visibility. So it's going to enter on the bottom side here, then it's going to exit on the top there, and then this blue line is what goes out to the sink. So these guys have a little clip on here. This blue clip needs to come off in order to remove the connection. That's why the needle nose pliers help for something like that. And then once that is free like that of its connection, you press in on this little part on the outside, and then that'll release that little tube from there. And you can see the connection line is also marked on here, so when you put it back in, you want to make sure this thing seats all the way back to that line there. Okay, so I've got that one off. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. Just going to pull that out at the top, and then this tube will get released. So I'm going to pull these little attachments off of here and then reuse them on the new one. Again, you want to press in on just this very edge here because that's what's holding it in there. You push that in, then this little piece comes out here. I'm going to reuse these 2 connectors on the new one. Okay, so that's the old one. We'll get rid of that. And then here, you're just going to press in all the way. Make sure it goes in all the way there. And then that will connect. You want to do the same thing on the other side. So now that's my new filter with my new pieces. You can see that there isn't one of these blue clips here. It sort of has its own clip already in there. You don't need another blue clip there. That was confusing when I was looking at the video that the iSpring guys did. So the way this model is, you can just slide that in. You do need the clip to connect the tubes onto both of these, so we'll go down and do that next. Okay, all right, so I got my clips and I know which side is which. My blue line was the exit line here, And I'm going to slide that down, just push it, whoops, all the way down in as far as you can. And then this clip is going to go right in between this little outside white part there and the rest of the fitting. That just slides right on there. Because this clip, when it's pushed down, it'll release. When it's up, it's going to lock. So it's got to be up there in order to lock that. So that's the back tube already hooked up. The front one is coming from here. This one has a little line on it, which is nice because you can see how far in you have to push. The other side, right there. So now that clip is in place there. So that's holding this outer white piece up. That's going to lock that in. Okay. So now we are reconnected. That's a little bit plumbery there to do that stuff, but really it's not that hard to do. The thing you want to do next is just get these pieces back where they were. We got them all together. So the back is connected, the front is connected on my stage 6. 1, 2, and 3 are already done there. So we are ready to test it out. So I'm going to turn the water back on. I'm going to have my towel ready, and then when the system pumps and starts up again, there's going to be air hissing through it. This is where you want to be watching for any leaks that might be coming out, because if you did something wrong, normally you'll see it right away. I'm going to take my towel out here. I'm going to use a smaller towel underneath. A little bit easier to see if there's any leaks going on here. And if you recall, what we did was we shut off the main water. So I'm going to turn that back on. I'm going to turn on the tank. And then this will start flowing through up here once everything is going through the system. So now that's running. That's good. And I don't see any leaks in here. So this is always the hard part, to make sure you made all the connections correctly. These things are up snug at the top there, which they are. I'm looking for any kind of leaks coming off the bottom. This one, we replaced the front. That's all dry there. I look at the one at the back. Hard to see there. I don't see any drips coming out of that either. And if you would see any dripping, you'd start to see it maybe on this little shelf plate here, holder that's holding it there, or you'd start feeling it underneath. 1, 2, 3 stages changed, and then stage number 6 changed as well. That's what you got to do every 6 months on this system. I would let it run through a little bit too, just to bleed out the air, and also have it just run through the new filter system for a little while. I just kind of keep checking periodically too at the end here, make sure there's no leaks. If it doesn't leak right away, you're probably pretty good. I do keep a little towel under here just in case something might happen later. You can hear it kind of hissing, and as it processes the new filter and the water's running through the system there. So hopefully this is helpful for anybody who works with one of these systems. Again, I'm not a plumber, but I can do this. I've been doing this last couple of years here at the lake. If you like the video, please do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, share it out to somebody, maybe using one of these systems, thinking about buying one of these systems, needs to know how to maintain it. Check out my channel, UpNorthGuy. I got more videos about how-tos, product reviews, life and living up here in beautiful northern Michigan.